Hey, let's get into it. There's a way that we talk to and about other people that can feel totally normal, almost automatic. Talking about someone who's not in a room, evaluating, comparing, sometimes correcting, but without them present. And it often doesn't feel serious. They're just conversations, they're just opinions. James wants to slow that down and help us to see what's really happening. James chapter 4, 11 and 12. Do not speak evil against one another, brothers. The one who speaks against a brother or judges his brother speaks evil against the law and judges the law. But if you judge the law, you are not a doer of the law, but a judge. There is only one lawgiver and judge, he who is able to save and to destroy. But who are you to judge your neighbor? James kind of begins simply. Don't speak evil against one another. Then he goes deeper than just speech, and he connects it to judgment. Because when we speak about somebody, we talk about somebody in a way that places us above them. Um, we're not just describing them, we're positioning ourselves. We're putting us above them. And James says something strong. When we do that, we're not just evaluating a person or their personality or their behavior. We're stepping into a role that doesn't belong to us. It says you're placing yourself above the law, not living under it, but sitting over it and deciding what applies and deciding how it applies and deciding who measures up to your law. And then he brings it back to something really clear. There's only one lawgiver and one judge. One, not multiple. It's not shared. It's about authority. Who is it that gets to define what's right? Who sees fully, right, beyond circumstances, beyond motivations? Who sees it fully and who judges rightly? James is reminding us that that role is already taken. But think about how easy this shows up. You hear something about someone, and within seconds, a conclusion forms, right? Not the full story, not the full picture, just enough to feel certain, to judge them, to assume the worst, perhaps. And we feel better about ourselves. But only God can see completely. Only God understands fully. Only God can judge justly, which means when we step into that space, judging others, we carry a weight that we're never meant to carry. Doesn't mean that we ignore truth. It just means that we have to hold it maybe a little differently, with humility, with restraint, and with an awareness of our limits of perception, our limits of understanding, our limits of motivation, our limits of even perhaps misunderstanding things. So where does this show up most naturally for you? In everyday conversations, and how you talk about others, how quickly conclusions and judgments might form, and what would it look like to step back from that? Not to stay silent when something matters, right? Not to go passive, but to speak with humility instead of judgment. Maybe to assume the best, to leave judgment to God. Because when we release that position, we make space for God to be who He already is. And we have the space to have grace and mercy and love and compassion for others, acknowledging that we don't have it all together either. Wherever you find yourself, God goes with you today.